You had Sherlock Holmes level IQ, but at the same time, you also had Holmes's sad 20-point EQ. One line from you could shut people down, sound right, and leave no comeback. So to others, you became a high-scoring kid with zero EQ. All you did was study. You never sounded likable, and the system kept forcing you to learn. You had to keep building basics to unlock more system tech. But the upside of a high IQ soon showed. In your junior year, you swept first place in the national math, physics, and chemistry contests. The day scores came out. Recruiters from 7 top schools showed up. Ethan, choose us. We'll give you a $790,000 scholarship. The Northbridge recruiter went first, and Hudson's was not backing down. Ethan, come to us. Your parents' jobs and your sister's schooling. We can take care of all of it. For a moment, every recruiter pulled out their tricks. It was like a noisy market. But you ignored them and kept reading algebraic topology. When you finished the last page and were about to speak, the system chimed in. Congratulations, host. Algebraic topology task complete. System reward. The full EDA software tech stack. EDA tech, seriously? This was design software known as the mother of chips. There was still no usable homegrown version. Then an idea hit you. I like being around smart people. I'll give one problem. Whoever solves it gets my pick. Everyone froze. Did he have to be that blunt? The teachers' faces darkened. They were used to interviewing students, not being tested by one. Mr. Bennett from Northbridge was annoyed, but he still smiled. Ethan, if you have questions about our schools, just ask us. But to you, that move only looked dumber. You gave Mr. Bennett a confused look. Who would be dumb enough to say their own school is bad? Since you all say your school suits me best, then with offers being similar, testing your level with one problem. Isn't that the most practical way? I'm sure when you choose students, you use questions to test their real ability too. So why can't I do the same? Your words left the teachers looking at each other. Then Mr. Parker from Bayview Tech spoke first. If we can't solve it, may we ask our faculty for help? Of course. A teacher admitting they're dumb is no big deal. My problem is really meant for university faculty anyway. I hear some professors are just filling seats. So before I choose a school, I need to know its real strength. Your logic gave them no room to argue. And every recruiter there had a quota to meet. The moment they reached your home, it was settled. They had to do everything they could to win you. Since they were already here, they might as well see what you could ask. Fine, give us the problem. Mr. Bennett looked around at the others. He said confidently, his undergrad major was math, and his graduate major was physics. He believed none of the teachers there could touch him. So you took out paper and a pen and wrote fast. When you finished, the recruiters' faces fell at once. Even with their usual manners, they almost swore. It was algebraic topology. Mr. Bennett sucked in a breath, then went silent. It instantly brought back the terror of being ruled by math in college. The teachers pulled out their phones, took photos, and called for backup. That day, a strange scene hit those elite universities. Students were stood up by their teachers, one class after another. Before long, Mr. Parker hurried back in with his phone. As he walked, he spoke into it. Professor Morgan, I'll put you on speaker. Talk to him yourself. Ethan, about your problem, let me give the answer first. A is compact in the LQT topology. Then she began the proof. After hearing Professor Morgan's solution, you finally smiled. Algebraic topology deals with abstract algebraic structures and topological spaces. Solving it requires a leap from concrete problems to abstract concepts. And to answer an algebraic topology problem, you need linear algebra, real analysis, and kernel theory just to understand it. That was why you chose algebraic topology as the test. Can show a person's overall strength in math. So you asked Professor Morgan, what field do you study? Intelligent computing architectures and system chips. ASIC design and integrated circuit reliability. Professor Morgan showed no impatience, which made you like her. Solving your problem first proved she was smart enough. Answering you without impatience made her seem patient. And her research area suited your taste well enough. More importantly, if you followed her, then when you brought out the system reward, others would accept it far more easily than they would now. After weighing the pros and cons, you knew your next step. All right, per our deal, I'll choose Bayview Tech first. But I have 2 questions I want cleared up first. To reach Chloe Morgan, you finally said a few more words. Mr. Parker clenched his jaw. He was thrilled, but his head hurt. Thrilled because he had won his school a brilliant genius. Headache because this genius did not fear teachers like other students. It was as if that sense never existed in him. Hearing you, Mr. Parker quickly said, Ethan, ask away. After I enroll, my parents and my sister will still be in this town. They'll be far away. When can I come home to see them each year? Mr. Parker was about to say during winter and summer breaks, When he saw Mr. Clark from Westlake wearing a Sherwin look, something was off. Why did that guy look so confident? Mr. Parker quickly replayed Mr. Clark's every move in his head. Clark had reached the Hayes home about the same time he had. After entering, Mr. Clark had talked to you only about what his school could offer, and those offers seemed to include plans for your parents and sister. Once Mr. Parker remembered that, it clicked. So that was what you meant by asking him. Mr. Parker quietly broke into a sweat. That was close. You asked that in front of everyone on purpose, to compare which school had the better offer. If his offer fell short of the others, you would surely look at another school, like Northbridge and Summit, only a step behind on the problem. No, Mr. Parker quickly rejected that thought. He suddenly got it. You were not after information. Your real goal was to make Parker put a clear offer on the table. With your brain, you had probably already collected every school's perks just now. Now you wanted to talk specifics with Parker. Only then did Mr. Parker realize you were not playing games. He had overthought it. You had never really put the other schools on your list. Your question was just giving Parker a chance to match the perks from the other schools. Either way, lowballing you was not an option. Even 800 schemes would not beat you. It really felt like IQ could crush everything. Mr. Parker realized you had held the leverage all along. No matter how much the recruiters promised the moon or tried to build ties, you never showed your hand, because you knew exactly what you wanted. He was sure that if he failed to read you, you would not say another word to him. Mr. Clark, standing in the corner, could not help whispering to the person beside him. This kid is a true prodigy. With one short line, he used intel gathering, comparison, and leverage. 3 deliberate mind games at once. He is brilliant, not one wasted word. If you cannot read him, you really cannot talk on his wavelength. His family sure did not teach him this, so he must have learned it all himself. The more Mr. Clark said, the more he regretted not winning the genius. Meanwhile, once Mr. Parker caught on, he quickly thought about how to answer you. The admissions director had given him full authority this time. He was told to do whatever it took to land you. Now was his time to improvise. Ethan, don't worry. Your parents and sister, we will handle them. Your parents run a diner, right? There are a few empty shops near campus. They can keep running a diner there. As for your sister, if she wants to study here, she can. It depends on what you choose, Ethan. Also, as long as you join us, you can sign a 3+2+3 bachelor's to PhD deal tuition-free. After enrollment, the school will give you a $500,000 award up front. Each year, you will get our top scholarship and aid package. Dedicated staff will handle all the applications. You will not waste time on any of it. If you later want to study abroad, the school will apply for government-funded aid for you. During that time, all costs will be covered by the state and school. Mr. Parker's words lit up the live chat. Did you hear that? His parents and sister are covered too. Genius treatment really is different. I am so jealous I am drooling. Ethan the brainiac even thinks of his family. I'm crying. He just does not like dealing with dumb people. That does not mean he does not care about his family. If a high IQ person wants to look after someone, they will cover every angle. The question is whether you are worth it. He gets $500,000 just for enrolling, and that does not include scholarships or grants. At this point, he is going to school to make money, right? Damn, we pay to go to school. He gets paid. At that moment, the live chat fell even harder for Ethan. You seemed fairly satisfied with Parker's arrangements. You raised no objection and simply said, I have one more question. Going to college with your whole family, and making money too, probably only happens to someone like you. The live chat was getting one wild eye-opener. When they heard you had a second question, they all focused, waiting for what you would say next. Mr. Parker kept his tone warm, thinking even if you have 100 questions, I have to solve them all today. Like Buddha said, if I don't go to hell, who will? Facing a genius. Years on the job told Mr. Parker to suck it up. It was painful now, but he believed that once he got his performance bonus and year-end bonus, this pain was nothing. For the bonus, he was all in. Ethan, ask anything. I will answer it for you. On your expressionless face, a hint of anticipation finally appeared. I want Professor Morgan to teach me. Is that possible? Mr. Parker let out a breath, thinking, that's it? Wasn't that just the microelectronics program? His bar was high, sure, but with your profile, you fully met the program requirements. Getting into microelectronics would be a piece of cake. Absolutely not. Before Mr. Parker could answer, Professor Morgan's voice came from his phone. Oh crap. He had forgotten Professor Morgan was still on the line. Mr. Parker regretted everything. What the hell was this? The moment Chloe Morgan spoke, he knew things were bad. Why? Because Chloe Morgan was a genius too. Back when Chloe Morgan entered Bayview Tech, she was Fairview's perfect score top science scorer. She ran on cheat codes all the way to 30 and became the school's youngest full professor. Everyone she mentored was, almost without exception, sharp. One of them, while still in grad school, got an offer from a major homegrown tech giant. Apex Tech's Genius program. He came with an $850,000 a year package. He was the only Bayview Tech student who, before even graduating, had landed such a high-paying offer. Chloe Morgan herself had also been invited by Apex Tech as a tech consultant. But she refused, saying she preferred academic research. The microelectronics program had always been Bayview Tech's flagship. Chloe Morgan was always picky about students. Now that she said no, Mr. Parker's heart sank. Seriously, are you top students all this rebellious? One tests a school with a problem. Another rejects him when he wants her program. Mr. Parker started regretting this trip. Whatever drama you geniuses have, what does it have to do with us mortals? When the other recruiters heard Professor Morgan reject you, every one of them lit up. Since Professor Morgan won't take him, our school also has a microelectronics program. Ethan, you're welcome to join us. Ethan, as long as you come to our school, we'll give you the award right now. After you enroll, we'll assign upperclassmen to help you settle into campus life fast. Ethan, come to our school. We'll line up our best professors for you. Seeing the recruiters poach you right in front of Mr. Parker, the live chat suddenly realized admissions work was actually pretty plain and simple, very down to earth. We thought admissions was high-end, but it turns out it's full of business warfare. Haha, Mr. Parker is still standing right there. And they're already this desperate. He must be losing it. Looks like in this talent war, every recruiter has to pull out tricks. They're really working hard. First time I've seen recruiters try this hard. The live chat laughed and enjoyed the show. But Mr. Parker could not laugh at all. Damn, you're all kicking me while I'm down. Huh? Mr. Parker had never seen peers this shameless. They were poaching you right to his face. Grumbling aside, Mr. Parker still had to warn Professor Morgan like a pro, or the prize in his hands might really slip away. Professor Morgan, this is being live-streamed, and many recruiters are here. What he really meant was, tone it down. I'm scared. Chloe Morgan went quiet on the phone. Then you asked why. You believed your profile was extremely strong. Otherwise, so many recruiters would not be at your home trying to win you over. Why would Professor Morgan reject you? You could not figure it out. Because I teach differently from other professors. I usually have students try preparing lessons themselves. In class, I randomly call on people to teach. Many students can't accept that, especially quiet ones. Chloe Morgan was a top student herself, so she knew the issue some top students had. They were loners, whether doing research or working at any organization that would have an impact. In a relationship-driven world, loners get pushed out. Chloe Morgan had once seen one of her students get isolated after starting work. In the end, he quit in depression and went home to farm. That experience would be hard for anyone to take, let alone a former golden child. So, from then on, Chloe Morgan changed her teaching style. She wanted her students to have some social skills and blend into new environments fast. Chloe Morgan saw it as a way to protect themselves. Most geniuses are young. If she could not help them build normal communication skills, she knew the next student would still run from society and retreat into their own safe room, never willing to come out again. She did not want to see her students get torn apart by so-called social rules again. Her own experience included, students came to school for far more than a degree. Their values and worldview also needed a teacher's help. That's not hard. While Chloe Morgan was recalling the past, you gave her your answer. You're not afraid to teach? You'd face about 30 people. Chloe Morgan was puzzled. Don't top students usually like hiding in a corner and studying on their own? Why would teaching scare me? If it helps me sort out my logic, I see no reason to refuse. Only then did Chloe Morgan understand what you meant. To you, teaching was a way to help yourself improve. As for what others were like or what they thought, you probably had not considered it at all. If you teach badly, other students may point it out. Can you accept that? Geniuses often cannot accept public criticism. But that happens all the time at work. Chloe Morgan cared a lot about building her students' stress tolerance. Now she was curious how you would answer. Why should I accept it? Hearing your answer, Chloe Morgan felt disappointed. So it was true. Geniuses really could not take criticism. Just as she was about to end the call, you kept going. First, I need to tell if the criticism is right. If it's wrong, why should I accept it? Professor Morgan froze. She did not expect you to think that way. When most people are criticized, they first feel ashamed or angry. In that state, most choose to argue back. Few can calmly sort right from wrong. What if the other person is your boss or teacher? What if their criticism is wrong? Chloe Morgan pressed on. You looked baffled. You said, as long as it doesn't affect my studies or research, it's fine. As a genius, you would always be questioned. Chloe Morgan would not let it go. She kept pressing. Professor, would you really argue? With chirping birds? You asked, confused. Professor Morgan asks weird questions. Linda Hayes heard how blunt you were, and quickly warned you not to talk about your teacher like that. You mumbled back, what did I say? I don't think I said anything. Hearing you and your mom talk, the live chat cracked up. The brainiac is right. If it's wrong, why accept it? Ha ha ha, so in Ethan's eyes, those people are just chirping birds. Savage. I've never heard anyone say it that bluntly. Ethan is so direct. Look at those recruiters. Their faces are hilarious. That chirping birds line does little damage. But it is wildly insulting. Will Ethan do that to his boss someday? Everyone was curious. In her office, Professor Morgan froze for dozens of seconds before realizing what kind of person she had met. Geniuses could be loners, true, but some geniuses focus more on what they see as important. They do not dwell on irrelevant ideas or comments. That focus helps them avoid outside noise and harm, even if it can make them seem a bit arrogant. At that moment, Professor Morgan felt you truly had promise. Smart and not as sensitive as the others. You knew what mattered most. Your words were not exactly likable, but Professor Morgan believed that could change over time. Years later, when Professor Morgan looked back on that thought, she would realize how naive she had been. Chloe Morgan knew it was time to answer you. When she snapped out of it, she said at once, good. Ethan, I'll be waiting for you at Bayview Tech. It actually worked. Professor Morgan, I'd like to know more about you. Unlike everyone else, you did not react to her invitation. You had a reason for that. After all, Professor Morgan had just asked what, to you, was not a very smart question. You began to wonder whether she could really give you the help you wanted. Afraid Chloe Morgan might be upset, Mr. Parker quickly jumped in. Professor Morgan is a nationally recognized young scholar. She now heads Bayview Tech's General Purpose Chips and Core Software Research Center. Professor Morgan once mentored a grad student who earned Apex Tech's Genius Program offer. Apex Tech also invited her to be a tech consultant, but she was busy with research and did not go. Ethan, do you know Apex Tech? We partner with Apex Tech. If you ever want to work there, we'll fight for the best package for you. Hearing this, the viewers all said a strong school really helps, can pave every road ahead. On your end, you finally got interested. You knew. Apex Tech was the country's largest information and communications infrastructure and smart device provider. Many people were proud just to work there. You calculated that if you brought out the EDA tech, Apex Tech really had the ability to commercialize it. Good. Then it's her. Thank you, Mr. Parker. Thank you, Professor Morgan. When do I report in? When Mr. Parker heard that, he finally felt the weight lift. Convincing this brainiac to choose them had been anything but easy. He asked you to wait, then stepped aside to quietly confirm with Chloe Morgan. Before Mr. Parker could speak, Professor Morgan started talking. Have him come as soon as possible. Freshman year started over a month ago. If he comes now, he should still catch up. Now she was anxious. Wasn't she the one who did not want him at first? Mr. Parker secretly found Chloe Morgan's shift amusing. After the call, he hung up and walked over to you. After explaining the arrival details, he opened the suitcase beside him and took out a laptop and portable printer. Classic Mr. Parker. You even brought a printer? I only brought ready-made agreements. Now it looks like Mr. Parker's way is better. If anything new comes up, he can print a fresh agreement on site. Damn, Parker. You came fully prepared. Seeing that Mr. Parker had locked you in, the other recruiters' work was basically over. They soon went back to their usual joking around. Sure, they were competitors, but they were all working folks. Once off the clock, they were regular people and they saw each other often. Privately, they got along well. I still have to thank you all. If any of you had moved a little faster, I might not have had a shot. Lunch is on me today. Let's all go eat later. The recruiters were pleased and all agreed. After all, any school doing direct admissions here was strong. Even if their professors varied in level, Mr. Parker could never say that out loud. So he only said he had been a little quicker on his feet. That was how he signed you today. That way, his relationship with the other recruiters would not sour. You listened from the side and narrowed your eyes at Mr. Parker. Just as you were about to speak, quick-thinking Linda Hayes changed the subject. Ethan is going to Bayview Tech. What do you need to pack? I don't have much. No need to pack much. Linda Hayes knew your situation, of course. Then she said, I'll pack for your dad, Grace, and me. Guys in the live chat, I need to pack, so I'm signing off. You saw it. My son is going to college. I'm going with him. I don't know if I'll stream again. When the chat heard that, everyone blew up. Ma'am, you can still stream at college. We want updates on Ethan the Brainiac. Congrats on having such an amazing son, ma'am. Oh right. Didn't some big spender just say, if Ethan proved he knew algebraic topology, he'd send rockets? Ethan already proved it. Send them. You have to. Call it Ethan's college send-off. Folks, show our Brainiac some love. Led by that big spender, over 10 rockets popped up in the chat. Linda Hayes had never seen anything like it and apologized in a panic. Then she ended the stream. She was afraid that if she didn't, more and more people would send gifts. By then, Mr. Parker had printed the agreement. He first handed it to Frank Hayes. Frank Hayes waved him off. Let my son read it. I don't really understand it. Mr. Parker instantly understood who really ran the family. After he handed it to you, you skimmed it fast. Once it checked out, you signed your name. Once the agreement was signed, Mr. Parker took the other recruiters out to eat. He had wanted your family to join them, but you refused. Mr. Parker figured your family probably had things to discuss, so he didn't insist. Once Megan Brooks saw the deal was signed, she knew she had no chance. She slipped away too. After the recruiters left the Hayes Diner, Mr. Clark asked the classic question. So where are we eating now? Isn't there a place right nearby? Let's eat there. I need to talk with Ethan about the next steps. Fine. You did land him today after all. Ha ha ha. Everyone, eat and drink up. It's all on me. Mr. Parker had finished his mission and couldn't have been happier. He led the group of recruiters to Doyle's Walk, just a few steps from the Hayes place. The owner was Hank Doyle, who had a bit of bad blood with the Hayes family. When he saw several people in suits walking over from the Hayes place, he quickly welcomed them in and seated them. Did the place next door not suit your taste? Don't worry, we can adjust every dish to your taste. Spicy or sweet, whatever you like, Hank Doyle said as he poured tea. These recruiters had seen everything. When they heard Hank Doyle say that, they exchanged looks. This place and the Hayes place were both small diners. So this owner clearly had some beef with the Hayes family. Not really. We just don't want to trouble them. Mr. Parker told the truth. But Hank Doyle heard it differently. Oh, sir, you're too kind. Even defending them. Sir, you've got it wrong. All of us came here for the Hayes boy. Now that we're done, it wouldn't feel right to bother them by staying for lunch. What could this many people want with the Hayes boy? Hank Doyle hurried to ask what happened. When he learned these recruiters had all come to invite you to college, Hank Doyle felt sour. Why does he get to go to college? Isn't he still in high school? If that isn't breaking rules, what is? Hank Doyle had no idea what direct admissions meant. He only knew that to go to college, you had to take the entrance exam. Getting into college without taking it had to be a backdoor deal. Hey, what did you say? Breaking rules? The Hudson recruiter had already failed his mission today and was annoyed. Now a small diner owner accused them of cheating, and he snapped. I heard you have to take the entrance exam to go to college. When the man's voice jumped, Hank Doyle's confidence wilted. Sir, I don't blame you for not knowing. Your town probably hasn't seen this before. This is direct admissions. It means universities can choose certain top students in advance and bring them into their schools. Of course, not just any student can be chosen. They need national contest awards. Hank Doyle had never heard of this. He said blankly, so the Hayes kid won a national contest award? Yes, and more than one. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come all the way from the capital, Westlake and Hudson. When Hank heard Mr. Parker say that they had come from so far away, felt even more unbelievable. You came all that way for one kid? Why? Hank Doyle asked in disbelief. Because he's a rare genius. Sir, you know your town's education level, right? Even with that, Ethan beat a crowd of elite students raised on money and took first prize nationwide in math, physics, and chemistry. Think about it. How could the country let a kid like that be buried in this town? Hank Doyle's face turned ugly. He had thought, you were only a little smarter than his son. But who would have thought someone would now tell him? You had beaten students nationwide and won first prize? Now you were headed to a big city for school. Hank Doyle stared at Mr. Parker in disbelief, wanting to hear it again. That's right. Ethan would be in a big city, getting the best education. Hearing Mr. Parker say that, Hank Doyle panicked. He grabbed Mr. Parker's sleeve. Sir, my boy is taking the entrance exam soon. Could you take him too? Mr. Parker glanced at Mr. Bennett, who was snickering nearby, then said to Hank, that man is Northbridge's recruiter. Why don't you ask him? Hearing that Northbridge's recruiter was there too, Hank Doyle instantly dropped Mr. Parker and went to grab Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett cursed Parker in his head, while patiently telling Hank, sir, our direct admissions only take students who have won first prize in national contests. Has your child won any awards? Do school contests count? No. Seeing how crushed Hank Doyle looked, Mr. Bennet felt kinda sorry for him. So he still comforted him. Sir, every kid has a different path. No need to force it. What your son is good at, others may not be. Right? What your son has, others may not. So don't compare. Mr. Bennet never expected those words to open Hank Doyle's mind. That's right. Our business beats the Hayes families and we have more money. Even if my son can't get into college, we can take care of him for life. Not like the Hayes family. They're broke as hell. Even the diner money was borrowed. Hank Doyle was a rough guy, and he quickly got his confidence back. To him, aside from you, the Hayes family had nothing worth showing off. The recruiters exchanged looks, knowing this talk was going nowhere. So they stopped before eating, got up, and left Doyle's walk. They left Hank Doyle grumbling there. After they walked out, Mr. Bennet pulled Mr. Parker aside. Move the Hayes family out. The sooner, the better. If they can leave today, leave today. Who knows what could happen? Mr. Parker gave a bitter smile. I saw it too. Jealousy can twist a person. And you were the Hayes family's hope. It would be so easy to ruin a kid like you. With the way you talked, you had probably offended plenty of people. News of your early college admission would spread fast. In a small town, little things get blown up, let alone something this big. People who don't understand would be like that owner just now, thinking you got in through a back door. How would your family face that rumor? So no matter what, the faster you leave, the better. After Mr. Bennet's analysis, Mr. Parker nodded. That's what I think too. If you're not busy today, could you help me move the Hayes family? The recruiters walked over and laughed. You owe us another meal. Next time, I'm eating at your priciest restaurant. But we still haven't eaten today. How about we fix that first? Moving takes muscle. Seeing everyone willing to help, Mr. Parker felt grateful. They wandered to a snack stall about half a mile away. After wolfing down some snacks, they split up. Some went to rent cars, others to buy plane tickets, and some went back to your home to talk your family into it. Leaving today? That soon? Linda Hayes was still slowly packing inside. But when Mr. Parker said they had to leave with them today, she was shocked. The school arranged this. They mainly want Ethan to report in sooner. Mr. Parker told a white lie. Oh, I see. All right. I'll pack right away. Good thing we don't have much. Linda quickly told Frank to pack the living room. After she left, you, who had been listening in silence, suddenly walked up to Mr. Parker and said, You're making us move right away because of the Doyle family, aren't you? Mr. Parker's heart skipped. This kid is a monster. How does nothing get past him? You didn't mention this when we signed the agreement. But after going to eat, you suddenly made this decision. So something must have happened at lunch. But that's fine. We were never in the same circle. We'd leave sooner or later. After saying that, you walked off, leaving Mr. Parker stunned. So that was why this kid never bothered with them. You knew you would leave this town. So the Doyle family's existence didn't matter to you. Mr. Parker had heard that when high IQ people weigh pros and cons, they often consider things more fully, digging into every possible outcome and impact, then make the choice that serves them best. Now Mr. Parker felt he had seen a living example. What looked like low EQ was actually the result of a high IQ decision. With everyone working together, by around 5 p.m., the Hayes family's things were all packed. When Grace Hayes came home, she found the place totally changed. Why was everything packed? Were they really moving? Then why had no one told her? If she'd come back any later, would the whole family have been gone? Mom, Dad, what's going on? Why is everything packed? Grace walked in and started talking. Hearing her voice, Linda Hayes realized she'd forgotten to tell her daughter about the move and instantly felt awkward as hell. Grace, you weren't home today, and I was so busy I forgot to tell you. Your brother got into college. The school has arranged a place for our whole family. Once we're packed, we're leaving. Grace needed a few seconds to process the news and understand her mom. My brother won awards in those national contests. Grace remembered the contests you had entered and said with delight, Ethan won first prize in math, physics, and chemistry. He's the first person nationwide to reach that level, so we recruiters came here. Grace looked toward the voice and only then noticed a stranger in the house. You're Grace, right? I'm Mr. Parker, the admissions recruiter from Bayview Tech. I'm here to take you all to Bayview Tech. Grace was happy at first, then confused. With her brother's scores, Summit or Northbridge should have been easy. So why did this man say you were going to his school? Grace had questions, but she did not say that to Mr. Parker. She only said worriedly, the whole family is moving? But I just found a job here. Mr. Parker froze. Grace had a job? That was not what his information said. Grace, you're working? Not in school. Grace shook her head, a little embarrassed. My grades were just okay. The school I got into was only a low-tier college. I figured a low-tier degree wouldn't get me a good job anyway. so I didn't want to waste the money. Mr. Parker looked at Grace's plain, simple clothes and understood. He said, if you go to college, the school can help you apply for interest-free student loans. You pay it back after you graduate and start working. Such a good chance. Would be a shame to waste. Grace nodded. My brother said that too. But if I went to school, only my brother would be left at home. If I stayed, I could help take care of my parents. So that was it. Grace was a normal, caring daughter. Mr. Parker remembered the agreement he had signed with your family. So he said, I made your brother a promise. Besides finding jobs for your parents, we'd also handle your schooling. Based on your old grades, you can repeat senior year. After that, Bayview Tech can admit you through a special track. What? My brother's school would find my parents jobs? And it would help me go back to school? Grace had never imagined something this good. In disbelief, she said, Sir, is that all true? Of course. You can ask your mom. She was there when we signed the agreement. Grace turned to Linda Hayes, and Linda nodded again and again. Of course it's true. Grace, your brother also got a school award. It's $500,000. If you want to study now, you can go without worry. Linda knew Grace had given up college to save money and care for them. That was why Linda had always felt she owed Grace. Now things were better. You had secured Grace a school. She could finally fulfill her college dream. Of course Grace was happy. But she also hesitated. Could someone with her grades attend your school? Since childhood, she had known your grades better than anyone. For many hard problems, even teachers could not explain them clearly. But you could always make them clear to her. Now you were leaving for college. So who would explain problems to her? Grace nervously laid it all out. Mr. Parker froze too. He had not expected this. Grace's past grades had depended on you. These siblings had almost the same DNA, so how was the gap this huge? With a conflicted look, he said, if you really want college, it's possible. Don't worry about your grades. Just repeat the year and study hard. You're 19 now, right? You can still keep up if you repeat. When the time comes, the school can lower the cutoff for you. After all, the admissions director had put him fully in charge of Ethan. Now that the school had landed a genius like you, taking one regular student should be fine, right? That was what Mr. Parker thought. Then he said it outright. They could lower the cutoff. Grace instantly grabbed her mom and jumped for joy. She really was 19. She had never imagined this. With her brother's help, she still had a chance to enter college again. After the excitement, Grace called her workplace to quit. She worked at a delivery station. She called her boss. Her boss was surprised. Grace, did you find a better job? Grace quickly explained, Boss, it's not that. I'm going back to repeat a year and get ready for college. The boss asked, confused, weren't you worried about wasting your family's money? Wasn't that why you decided not to go? It's all thanks to my brother. Anyway, boss, I need to start packing now. Thank you for looking after me. The boss had questions, but he could not say much over the phone. He agreed to send Grace's wages for this period to her WeChat. Then he hung up. The rest was simple. Grace went back to her room and quickly packed her things. Then she was ready to leave with everyone. The town had no good cars. Mr. Bennett rented 2 7-seat vans. Then he brought them around behind the Hayes Diner. He joked, as admissions recruiters, we don't just help people move. We also moonlight as drivers. We're basically all-around pros. What's wrong with serving a genius? Maybe Mr. Parker's luck will rub off on us. Next time, maybe we'll sign a genius too. Ha ha ha. Mr. Parker is our lucky charm now. You were sitting in the front seat, expressionless. In the car, Mr. Parker reminded you, Ethan, we're about to leave. Do you want to say goodbye to your friends? I don't have friends. You looked at Mr. Parker, unsure why he would say that. Do people have to make friends? Who said that? You said it with a completely serious face. Mr. Parker felt he had spoken too fast again. Right? How could someone like you possibly have friends? Mr. Parker was about to change the subject. But Linda perked up when she heard him. Linda asked Mr. Parker about college. Are they all smart like my son? Will it be easier for him to make friends there? There were plenty of smart people in college, sure. But people as smart as you? Those were truly hard to find. At least so far, Mr. Parker knew that. He had never seen any other student like that. Winning national first prize in all 3 subjects was unheard of. Pretty much. You can check it out when you get there. You can see for yourself then. Mr. Parker also hoped you could make friends in college. That would help your daily life too. After all, you couldn't stay with your family forever. That's wonderful. My son has never had friends growing up. We've always worried. Thank goodness he had his sister. Otherwise, he would have been even lonelier. Linda quickly spoke to you in the front seat. Ethan, did you hear that? You can make friends at college. Seeing Linda so happy, you turned to Mr. Parker. You asked, "Are college students really that smart? I keep hearing bright-eyed but clueless college kids. Did you have to be that blunt?" Mr. Parker got a little worried. With your personality, he really feared you might get isolated. "Hey, that's just a joke. Our students are still pretty good. Especially the ones in your major." Mr. Parker was not lying. Professor Morgan was in the microelectronics program. Selection was always strict, and its students were known to be smart. Once you're there, you might really find a few friends. "I really can make friends?" After Mr. Parker said that, you somehow got excited too. Your mom always thought you could not make friends. She thought you looked lonely and pitiful, but you felt fine. You enjoyed being on your own. You could study electromagnetism without distractions, or work on math problems. But the Hayes family did not get it. They thought people had to have friends. Your sister, for example, had 4 or 5 friends in town. She even cried when she called them to say goodbye. You could not understand that feeling. To you, it was useless. Still, to make your mom happy, you would try making friends at college. At least, Mr. Parker had said. College students were not that dumb. Night slowly fell. The Hayes family, guided by 7 recruiters, drove to the airport. To avoid more trouble, Mr. Parker told your parents that before reaching school, they should keep it quiet. Once they arrived, Linda finally told people her family had moved to a big city. A few friends spread it, and the whole town blew up fast. The broke Hayes family had gone to a big city. Even crazier, it was all because of you. That day, many parents in town started pushing their own kids. They hoped that someday, their kids could be like you and move the whole family to a big city. When Hank Doyle learned the Hayes family was gone, he felt both happy and furious. Happy because his diner would be the only one around from now on. Business would be no problem. Furious because they had reached the big city first. Hank called his son over and hissed, "That brat Ethan is gone now. Study hard for me. Someday you have to live better than him. Got it?" Only after his son nodded did Hank's anger ease a little. "Just wait. Ethan is only a little smarter right now. Once he joins society, he will still just be some employee." Hank had heard many college grads still ended up working for others, so he felt college kids were no big deal. "Study hard, son. After you graduate, come straight back and take over our diner. If our family has more money by then, we will expand it." While the Doyle father and son planned their grand empire, Ethan's family had already left the airport. In the car, Mr. Parker made several calls to arrange housing for you and your family. Ethan's family obviously could not live in the dorm with him, so Mr. Parker placed them in staff housing. Since you arrived over a month later than everyone else, they could only put you in a dorm that was not full. To make it easier for you to talk to others, Mr. Parker coordinated with the housing office and moved the students from other majors in a mixed dorm to another dorm. Only 2 microelectronics students were left there. Before boarding the flight to Bayview, the other recruiters had already taken other flights out. They still had missions to finish, so they did not come with the Hayes family. As the Hayes family rode toward Bayview Tech, the view outside stunned them. There was the ocean. The family had never seen the sea before, and they were all drawn to that blue stretch in the distance. Even you, always lost in your own world, were drawn to it. It was your first time seeing the sea. The salty, damp smell seemed to drift over from the water. Breathing in that strange scent, you looked forward to the life ahead. Bayview Tech covered about 515 acres and had over 30,000 students. It was lunch break, and after eating, students were wandering around campus. When Mr. Parker had the taxi driver enter campus, it naturally drew attention. "Which professor is that driving this road? Isn't he afraid the president will fine him?" "Yeah." Cars are not allowed near the dorms, and 2 cars came in at once. Bold. "I want to see which professor is that brave." Students all looked toward the taxis. They saw the taxis stop near staff housing for a while, then head to the student dorms. What's going on? Are they dropping off a student? Didn't registration end already? Why come now? Wait, is this some rich kid? A rich kid gets to register this late, after our military training is over? I want to see which rich kid is that shameless. The well-fed students had nothing else to do. The second they heard some rich kid was registering now, they got fired up. Special treatment, huh? They wanted to see who dared pull that. So when Mr. Parker got out with you, quite a few students gathered around. Are these students that bored? What are they here to see? Mr. Parker was completely baffled and grumbled to himself. After getting out, you saw the crowd and frowned slightly. Mr. Parker, the students here don't seem as smart as you said. Standing around here is a complete waste of time. Mr. Parker instantly felt awkward and quickly patched it up. These students had classes all morning. They just want to relax. What a bunch of troublemakers. Mr. Parker did not dare let you stand outside the dorm any longer. Otherwise, your impression of their school would be ruined by these troublemakers. Seeing Mr. Parker lead you inside, the onlookers started talking. That guy is so handsome, but from his clothes, he does not look like a rich kid. Why do I feel like he's really young? Like a high schooler. High schooler? He looks over 5'11". You don't know? Students are really tall these days. I'm judging by his vibe. He must be young. With a face that good looking, I feel like I've seen him somewhere. Where would you have seen him? In some live stream? Hey, now that you say it, that really could be it. That guy looks kind of socially anxious. He doesn't seem like the live stream type. The students finally had a topic, and they could not stop talking. Soon, the campus forum was full of talk about you. Mr. Parker led you into the dorm building. Your advisor, Hannah Reed, was already waiting outside the dorm office. You're here. Ms. Reed, this is Ethan Hayes from your class. Hannah Reed had already learned about you from Mr. Parker's files. She knew you were a rare genius. Looking at the blank-faced teen before her, she tried hard to seem warm and kind. Ethan, hello. I'm your advisor. If anything comes up, in class or in life, you can come to me. Come to you for anything? Are you smarter than Professor Morgan? You quickly answered in earnest, not for life stuff. My parents and sister are here. I can go to them if I need help. For schoolwork, I can come to you too? Then what subject are you good at? Math, physics, chemistry, microelectronic devices, electromagnetics, integrated circuits, or EDA. Tell me and I'll write it down. When I have questions, I'll come to you. Hannah's line had clearly just been polite talk. When she realized you were taking it seriously, she froze. Seriously? Was this brainiac really that literal? One casual line and he took it seriously. What microelectronics did she know? Seeing Hannah fall silent, you quickly caught on. Looks like you don't know any of those. You felt disappointed. Ms. Reed, let's head up. Let Ethan get some rest. We just got off the plane, and we haven't even handled the paperwork yet. Hearing that, Hannah knew Mr. Parker was giving her an out. She gave him a grateful look and quickly led the way. She did not dare talk to you anymore. If she kept going, she might expose the fact that she had probably forgotten everything she learned in school. Meanwhile, in boys' dorm room 606, Nate Wilder and Julian Mercer were cleaning up. Julian, who do you think this new guy is? They even moved out people who were already living here. Boss Wild, if you don't know, how would I? After Julian wiped down the desks, he went back and sat in his chair. He is just reporting in later than us. Looks like he's either a genius or has some special health issue. A special health issue? How so? Nate Wilder's body, thanks to all that extra weight, was more than twice as wide as most people. After moving around a bit, he got tired. Seeing Julian already sitting, he tossed the broom aside and sat down too. I heard some students report late because they have to be hospitalized. Nate slapped his thigh, suddenly getting it. No wonder they moved the others out. They're afraid students from other majors might judge him. When the guy gets here, we should be extra nice to him. We can't let him get mistreated here. With Boss Wild around, who would dare bully someone from our dorm? Cut it out. Stop hyping me up. And change that nickname. Calling me Boss Wild all the time makes it sound like you're insulting me. While the two were joking, someone suddenly knocked on the dorm door. Nate and Julian looked at each other. Then, under Julian's puppy dog stare, Nate walked over and opened the door. Mr. Parker, the advisor, and a handsome boy stood outside. Nate instantly understood. This had to be the legendary new roommate. Ethan, come in. This is your dorm. These two share the room with you. They're in your major too. Same major? Then they both studied microelectronics. You looked at them, interested for once. Come on, introduce yourselves to the new student. With Mr. Parker guiding them, Julian and Nate introduced themselves to you. Normally, it would be your turn next. Nate remembered Julian's guess that the new student might be ill, so he said thoughtfully, hey, if there's anything private you don't want to say, you don't have to. Julian and I aren't that nosy, right? We won't pry into your privacy. The interest on your face quickly turned to confusion. Privacy? What did you have to hide? By privacy, do you mean that I come from a small town and won national first prize in math, physics, and chemistry, or that I'm still only 16? What? National first prizes in all three? This kid was only 16? Nate and Julian's faces turned complicated. They realized all their guesses just now were wrong. The new student was not reporting late because he was sick. He was here through direct admissions. National first prizes in math, physics, and chemistry. What did that even mean? The two of them had never won any national award, only provincial ones. Was this new classmate even human? He had won 3 national first prizes. And the real gut punch was that he said he came from a small town. To check whether you were flexing, he said, "Ms. Reed, our new classmate is really amazing." Huh? Nate was quick on his feet. Afraid you were joking, he immediately tried to confirm it with the advisor. What could Ms. Reed say? That Ethan had just downstairs left her speechless? Did Ms. Reed not need to save face? Nate, Julian, this is Ethan Hayes. He is a student our school just admitted. Though he is only 16. From now on, he'll be taking freshman classes with you. Ethan is young, so please look after him. Nate and Julian both heard what Ms. Reed meant. Everything this kid said was true. Otherwise, Ms. Reed would have denied it. He really was better than them. At 16, he was already taking freshman classes with them. What kind of world was this? Julian thought, just showing up at school with an advisor and another teacher personally escorting him was not something an ordinary person could pull off. Looks like what you said earlier was true. Julian Mercer did not know if your words were careless or on purpose, but your first impression with him was honestly not great. Brat, fine, you're a brainiac, but why flex? Still, you were already in the dorm now. So Julian could only smile warmly. Welcome to the dorm. Where's your luggage? Nate, let's help our new roommate move his stuff in. Seeing Julian already move, Nate could only accept his fate and walk toward Mr. Parker to grab the pile of things he pointed at. But when they got close and looked, both of them froze. Only then did they realize your things were all packed in the cheapest red and blue woven sacks. No suitcase. Julian knew exactly what that meant. He quickly buried the little resentment he had toward you, picked up a woven sack, and headed into the room. You three get along well. We'll get going. Ethan, if you need anything, remember to tell Ms. Reed. If she's busy, you can come to me too. Also, I'll take care of your family. Just stay with your classmates and settle in. Mr. Parker watched Julian and Nate take the initiative to help with your bags and felt very pleased. He wanted you to get close to them as soon as possible. After that reminder, Mr. Parker left with Hannah Reed. When they reached the 5th floor, Mr. Parker asked those two students, "Are you sure they're reliable? I hate to say it, but you should know what we're dealing with now, right?" Hannah stumbled on the stairs and quickly grabbed the wall to steady herself. "Mr. Parker, don't worry. I know he's a special recruit for the school. Julian Mercer is the 3rd son of Mr. Mercer, who owns Bayview Pharma Group. He comes from money, but he's kind, generous, and tactful. He had a great reputation when he roomed with students from other majors. Nate Wilder's family is in antiques. He's cheerful and easygoing. Even when teachers criticize him, he never gets mad." Mr. Parker had been pressed for time earlier and had not had time to look into those two students. After hearing Hannah explain, he finally relaxed. Then they really are suitable. Getting along with him takes patience. The kid is excellent in every way. He's just a bit blunt. Ms. Reed, please be patient with him. Hannah would not dare complain. She quickly smiled. Geniuses are all like that. I'll keep a closer eye on him. Good. That's what I want to hear. He's a talent the school worked hard to bring in. You rarely get to work with someone at this level. Being in charge of him will be a major credit on your record. Only then did Hannah realize how important you were to her. An advisor's job rarely produces visible wins. Many advisors handle class after class and still stay stuck. The promotion path was narrow. Only with an exceptional student could she possibly break through. Just now, she had been quietly upset by your blunt words. Now that Mr. Parker had spelled it out, she saw the key at once. As long as she took good care of you, her promotion path would be far smoother than other advisors. Then she thought of Mr. Parker's earlier instruction. If Ethan could not reach her, he should go straight to him. Hannah understood at once. From now on, Mr. Parker would be watching how she handled things. Thank you for the reminder, Mr. Parker. I'll take good care of him. Before, Hannah had only been going through the motions. Now it was like she had found the key to her career. She was suddenly full of drive. Mr. Parker saw the shift in Hannah's attitude. He knew using promotion as the hook had made her care about you. Without a real stake, expecting an ordinary advisor to go the extra mile was unrealistic. On a basic salary, no one had to overwork for the school's key talent. That was just human nature at work. A different mindset leads to a totally different result. That is the most realistic rule of the workplace. You were blunt by nature, so Mr. Parker could only smooth the path for you. He wanted you to face fewer roadblocks on campus. Good. I still need to handle his student record and scholarships. I'll leave him to you for now. If you're unsure, contact me anytime. Hannah thought of your simple luggage and clothes and guessed your family was not well off. She quickly asked Mr. Parker, when will his scholarships and aid arrive? Freshmen have a lot of expenses at first. Mr. Parker sighed inwardly. She really did care now. He smiled. Don't worry. The school will release a special award to him first. The scholarships and grants need processing. then they'll come in later. Only then did Hannah relax. Meanwhile, back in the dorm, Julian and Nate were helping you unpack. I put your clothes in the closet. If you need anything, just tell us. Julian put your neatly folded clothes into the closet. He was about to praise you for being careful when you suddenly spoke. When you said to come to you if I need anything, was that real or just polite? Julian froze. He had never met anyone who asked so directly. With you asking like that, how could he say it was just polite? Of course it's real. What do you need help with? He tried to sound natural. Can I borrow your books? I want to see what microelectronics really covers. Julian had thought that if the new guy made an over-the-top request, he would set some boundaries, but you only wanted to borrow books. He instantly felt you were not that hard to get along with and handed you the book. He even added his class notes. These are my notes. Read them with the book. It'll be easier. You took the notes with a blank face. You flipped to the last page, glanced at it, and asked, confused. In stack addressing, if F is the accumulator, SP is the stack pointer, and PSP is the top stack cell SP points to, then if the operation is FSP, that is a pop operation. For something this basic, why did you take special notes on it? You closed the notes and looked at Julian. You said bluntly, a pop first moves SP up to point at the data, then sends the top stack data into the accumulator. For something this simple, wouldn't note-taking make you miss the lecture? Julian instantly took back the goodwill he had just felt. That way of talking was way too blunt. Nate stared, stunned, and couldn't help asking, have you studied this before? You casually flipped through the textbook and said, I read it in the library in middle school. I didn't know this was freshman material. Is freshman year all this easy? Mr. Parker clearly said it was hard. Then you realized these courses were all things the system had forced you to learn before. The town library had few books, mostly old textbooks from salvage yards. To you, those old textbooks were a self-study treasure. With your knowledge base, you were college-ready by 13. In middle school, you spent whole days teaching yourself there. It was your happiest, easiest time. But to Julian and Nate, your words were shocking. Self-studying freshman major courses in middle school? That was insane. We're just learning new material. Taking notes is normal. Do you never take notes when you study? Top students' notes are always in demand. Notes just put knowledge on paper. They don't put it in your head. Anything I read stays in my head. You were telling the truth. The system given perfect recall meant you never needed notes. One look, and you remembered it all. Nate stared at you in shock, like he was looking at a monster. Yes, I memorize very fast. Your tone was flat, as if this were the most normal thing ever. Nate quietly leaned toward Julian and whispered, what is going on? If he's telling the truth, that's super right brain photographic memory. His right brain is far beyond normal, letting him record info like a camera. A human camera? Nate blurted, amazed. A human camera? Is that carbon-based or silicon-based life? You grew curious about this strange new term. The two looked at each other, both sensing that college life would be anything but normal. Just then, Nate's stomach growled. It's noon. Let's go eat. Come with us. I don't have a meal card. You remembered Mr. Parker had not given you one yet. Nate grinned. No card? So what? I've got one. Ever heard the classic line? Swipe my card. You shook your head. Come on. Big bro's treating you today. Nate moved to sling an arm around your shoulder, but you quickly dodged. I don't like people I'm not close to getting near me. Nate's hand froze midair, then helplessly landed on Julian. He muttered, this kid doesn't appreciate kindness at all. The three of you got food at the cafeteria. Suddenly, you looked into the distance. You asked, do you know that person? Nate followed your gaze. Oh, the student council president. What about him? He got a lot of food, but he's only eating a few dishes. If he avoids certain foods, would you take them on purpose? Julian and Nate shook their heads together. Costs money and wastes food. No one would do that. He's afraid his food restrictions will get him pushed out of his circle. So he uses this to blend in. People like that hide what they really think. They're not worth getting close to. You analyzed it with a blank face. Nate and Julian were stunned again. Even over lunch, you could dissect someone's mind this clearly. That was way too impressive. Nate smiled and put his big drumstick on your tray. Nice. You read people that well, so you get a drumstick. You paused for a few seconds, then accepted it. Before long, your phone vibrated. It was your mom calling. Your mom said Mr. Parker was taking them to eat. She was especially happy to hear you were with your roommates. Before hanging up, your mom told you the school's $500,000 award had arrived. She asked how you planned to divide it. I'll think about it and tell you. After you hung up, Julian casually asked, your family worried about you? You answered honestly, no. My mom said the school's $500,000 award arrived. She asked how I want to divide it. Clack. Julian's and Nate's chopsticks dropped onto the table. That accidental flex was deadly. Nate muttered to Julian. Of course you heard it and asked flex. When you enrolled, didn't the school give you awards? Julian did not know whether to laugh or cry. We got in through the entrance exam. We're lucky just to enter this major. What award? Only then did you understand their reaction. You paused, then said seriously, but you're good people. You'll get other chances. The two almost fainted. That EQ was painfully blunt. Julian quickly changed the subject. How do you plan to spend that award? Get a new phone. Yours barely does anything. You took out your old red phone. You said seriously, I think it's fine. Nokia 5310 Express Music. It's tough, reliable, and lasts 3 days on one charge. Can that phone run WeChat or QQ? No, I don't need them. Call or text me if you need me. Nate was completely speechless. Somehow your gaze made him feel like you were looking at someone not too bright. Everyone in class uses a smartphone. Aren't you afraid they'll make fun of you? Julian kindly warned you. They use smartphones. Does their IQ match mine? The phone is smart, not the person. Getting a new phone means nothing to me. Julian had no comeback, so he asked, what about a computer? You'll need one for homework, right? The school has computers. No need to buy my own. Diminishing marginal utility. A regular computer isn't much better than the school's machines. But it costs a lot more. I don't need to make a bad deal. What you needed was a supercomputer, not a regular home PC. Julian and Nate were completely won over by your logic. A brainiac's mind really was different from normal people's. Meanwhile, Mr. Parker was taking your family to eat. Ma'am, don't worry. I specially arranged good-natured roommates for him. And his advisor will keep an eye on him. Nothing will go wrong. Linda Hayes wanted to check on you, but Mr. Parker talked her out of it. Mom, Mr. Parker has everything covered. Don't hover too much or his classmates will laugh. Your sister Grace also chimed in. Frank Hayes, silent until now, also spoke up. College kids don't have parents following them every day. If we want him to make friends, we can't fuss over him too much. Linda thought it over and dropped the idea. Now that Ethan's in college, what are your plans? The campus district cafeteria is hiring. The work is easy. I can set it up directly. Linda paused. Mr. Parker, didn't you say you'd help us find a storefront? I just think running a shop is too hard. Cafeteria work is easier. Still not as hard as what my kids went through. Grace gave up college for this family. And Ethan has read late into the night since he was little. He always says there's too much left to learn. Mr. Parker was deeply moved. A genius still working that hard was rare. He felt even more sure recruiting you was the right call. Since you want to open a shop, I'll take you to see empty storefronts in the campus district this afternoon. Also, I've contacted a school for Grace. Once it's settled, she can enroll. Thank you so much, Mr. Parker. The Hayes family thanked him again and again. But a trace of worry still hid in Linda's eyes. She feared your blunt nature would get you bullied at school. At that moment, you, Julian, and Nate were getting ready for class. Do we have Professor Morgan's class this afternoon? You asked. There was a hint of anticipation in your voice. No. Why do you look disappointed? Nate looked confused. Professor Morgan is very smart. I want to meet her soon. You wanted to meet her as soon as possible. Then you could decide whether to reveal the EDA tech. Don't say I didn't warn you. Professor Morgan is our department's final boss. No one has an easy time in her class. Final boss? What does that mean? First period tomorrow is her class. You'll find out then. Julian just shrugged, looking like he didn't dare say more. Julian pulled out a few notebooks and handed them to you. You haven't bought supplies yet. Use these for now. You rarely use notebooks, but seeing his kindness, you chose a red one. You like red? Yes. Red means vitality and energy. I like things with life. Then you must like red 100 yuan bills too. Nate teased. Of course, you said, hiding nothing. Nate whispered to Julian, this kid likes money. But he's smart. He probably won't get scammed. Julian nodded seriously. He'll only think other people are dumb. When you reached the classroom, you went straight to the front row and sat down. Nate froze. No way. In college, you still sit in the front row? Julian froze too. After hesitating, he remembered your situation. Then he gritted his teeth and sat beside you. Nate grumbled, then resigned himself and followed, afraid of being left out. This class was physics. As soon as Dr. Grant entered, he asked, I hear our department has a new brainiac named Ethan Hayes. Which student is he? You raised your hand, and the whole class instantly looked at you. Dr. Grant looked at your young face and smiled. I hear you're only 16. You won national first prize in math, physics, and chemistry. Yes, professor. Gasps filled the room. 16, and first prize in all three? That was genius tier. Can you keep up with this semester's chip-related physics? Yes. I've already taught myself this material. The room erupted at your words. Many thought you were way too arrogant. Julian quickly tugged your shirt, signaling you to stop talking. Dr. Grant was surprised too. He wanted to knock you down a peg and test your real level. So he changed the lesson on the spot and went straight into problems. He wrote a p-n junction solar cell chip calculation on the board and asked the class to calculate the short circuit current. The problem was brutal. The class went silent, and Nate nearly groaned out loud. Dr. Grant looked at you. Seeing no reaction, he felt a little disappointed. He thought your reputation might be empty. Just as Dr. Grant was about to explain, you raised your hand. Professor, the formula has a problem. The whole class was stunned. They looked at the board, but saw nothing wrong. Dr. Grant frowned and told you to stand up and explain. You clearly explained the core logic of p-n junction short circuit current. You pointed out that different doping levels change electron and hole contributions. Then you walked up to the podium. You corrected the formula on the board. As you explained, Dr. Grant checked it and soon confirmed you were right. He had only made a small mistake. To ease the awkwardness, Dr. Grant blamed poor sleep from working on papers. Then he started talking about his research focus. Microchip power supply circuit design driven by solar PV modules. It was also the key result for his promotion review. After hearing it, you had already judged Dr. Grant's level. After class, Dr. Grant hurried out. Nate said, "Still nervous, you really corrected him in public. That was harsh. What if he makes your life hard?" "He won't. Dr. Grant is just average, not that petty." Julian quickly pulled you both out and whispered, "Don't say that in class. If someone reports it, we're in trouble. Our major has a 60% fail rate. Participation is 30%. Lose it and it hurts. Even with 0 participation points, I can still pass." You did not care at all. Julian and Nate shook their heads. That was brainiac confidence. "Where is the library?" You suddenly perked up. "It's in the building next door. You want to read?" "Yes. I want to read Dr. Grant's paper and check his real level." "So cocky. You just got here, and you're already picking at a professor?" That thought hit Julian and Nate, and they instantly sensed trouble. If you offended Dr. Grant, could you even survive at this school? Why go to the library? Let's grab food. The poached chicken here is great. I'll take you. Nate walked up beside you and naturally reached for your shoulder. You shifted left, dodged him, and shook your head. "I'm not hungry. I'm going to the library." "You go." Then you walked straight off. "What now?" "Food can't tempt this kid. He's dead set on going against Dr. Grant. You think everyone only thinks about food like you? He's a brainiac. He's not like you. Why are you making it personal? 2 days ago, you said eating well was a blessing. Now you're dumping me?" Julian got goosebumps from Nate's words. "Cut the crap. We need to follow him. If he really gets in trouble, neither of us can cover it." "Man, why do I feel like a nanny?" Nate could not win, so he followed toward the library. "Don't you always call yourself street smart? How can you not see that the old roommates were suddenly moved out? So we could look after him? Have you ever seen a 6-person dorm with only 3 people?" Julian whispered. Nate was stunned. "Damn. So we're the ones benefiting from him? What else did you think?" "The blonde guy from our old room messaged at noon. He got moved to another major's dorm. Normal dorms may mix departments in the same field, but rarely different majors. Now our room has empty beds, but they won't let anyone in. You think that's because of us? The school paid $500,000 to bring him in, and you still don't get his weight? How did this hot potato land in our laps?" Nate complained as they walked. "Stop whining. He's straightforward. Having a genius friend only helps." Nate was sharp too, so he got it at once, but he still looked worried. "Aren't you afraid he'll really find Dr. Grant's flaws and piss him off for good?" Julian laughed. "Dr. Grant is still a college professor. How could Ethan pick out his mistakes that easily? Besides, he's just reading the paper, not trying to pick a fight. Dr. Grant himself told everyone to read it. Then what are we waiting for? Let's get to the library." Nate instantly sped up. Behind him, Julian grumbled helplessly. "I've never seen someone so eager to cling to a big shot. You had no library card and got stopped at the entrance. When Julian and Nate arrived, they immediately helped you get one. Walking into the library, you couldn't help whispering, 'It's huge.' You had never cared much about surroundings. But the library before you still stunned you a little. This counts as huge? You haven't seen the ones in the capital. Hey, why'd you jab me?" Nate was cut off by Julian before he could finish. "Think about where he's from." Julian lowered his voice. Nate instantly caught on and shut up. "You came from a small town. A small town was lucky to have a reading room. Couldn't compare to this. Come on. You want semiconductor journal papers, right? Search on the computer." Julian led you to a library computer and let you operate it yourself. You had never used a library system, but you understood the logic behind all systems. You had never used a library system, but you understood the logic behind all systems. In moments, you found the target journal's location. The three of you reached the second-floor journal room. You went straight to Area F, Row 11, and took down an issue of Semiconductor. Once seated, you dove in, fully lost in the text and shutting out the world. Only a dozen people sat scattered around. Julian and Nate felt awkward just standing there, so they grabbed a random issue and started flipping through it. You read extremely fast. By the time they had read a third, you had finished the entire journal. Dr. Grant's level really is pretty average. You judged calmly. You can't just say that. Nate went pale and quickly lowered his voice to stop you. Why not? It's true. If a teacher isn't good, can't we say it? There are errors in this paper. I need to talk to him in person. You said that and started to get up. Nate grabbed you, sweat breaking out on his forehead. Absolutely not. You're embarrassing a professor to his face. Julian also whispered, maybe you read it wrong. Paper data comes from repeated tests. You read it for under half an hour. How could you find a flaw that fast? I haven't run those tests, but his paper has errors. I have to talk to him. I did this at school too. If teachers made mistakes, I corrected them. They never said anything. Julian leaned in and whispered, this isn't your old school. Professors publish papers, often for promotions and honorariums. People turn a blind eye to small mistakes. Dr. Grant teaches us for 4 years. Pick this fight now and you lose. Why? Should academics fake things too? You looked completely confused. To you, 1 was 1 and 2 was 2. If even science had to compromise, then research lost its meaning. Then I'll do it another way. Julian and Nate exchanged a look and relaxed, thinking you'd listened. If you want to point it out, just email Dr. Grant. Keep it private. He'll definitely read it carefully. Julian quickly offered an idea. A one-on-one email is safer than confronting him. You looked up and asked, will he correct it? Will he fix the errors in the journal? Nate shook his head and whispered, no way. The issue is out and he's been paid. Changing it means contacting the journal. Too much hassle. You stayed silent for a few seconds, then turned toward the computer area. Julian and Nate tensed and rushed after you, only to see you open your email and start writing. They sighed in relief and stepped aside to whisper, good thing we stopped him. Even if Dr. Grant ignores the email, it's no big deal. He's just too literal. Who offends a professor like this? But what if Dr. Grant holds a grudge and makes his life hard? No choice. Stopping him would feel worse. He's young and new to social politics. Most likely, Dr. Grant will see it, ignore it, and it'll pass. You typed extremely fast. Before they could lean over to read it, you had already sent the email. That fast? Nate grumbled inwardly. Proving an error should take thousands of words. If you finished that fast, probably wasn't convincing and would likely be ignored. So back to the dorm, or I want to read here. There are so many books. It's good for studying. You needed the system's EDA tech. If you revealed it but couldn't explain the details, people would inevitably get suspicious. Then we'll read too. You looked at them and said seriously, you're right. Slow birds should start early. You're not especially smart, but if you work harder, you can still beat others. Oh, we are settling this right now. Nate flailed in rage, but Julian held him back tight. The commotion drew a warning from the librarian. Only then did they sit quietly and read. Several times, Nate wanted to go game in the dorm, but your not smart line made him too stubborn to quit. He gritted his teeth and stuck it out. Julian had planned to go back and crash, but your focus stirred his competitive side, so he read with you. That lasted the whole afternoon. At 6:30 p.m., Nate finally pushed you both to go eat. On the way, Mr. Parker called and told you to wait for him at Cafeteria 1. Nate and Julian had planned to go to a small place in the campus district, but seeing this, they could only go with you. As soon as you reached Cafeteria 1, Mr. Parker came over. This is your campus card. Door access, and meals all use this. On the 1st of every month, the school will auto-load 1,500 credits onto it. You can use it at cafeterias and campus district shops. Your scholarship and aid will arrive in about half a month, once your record transfers. The school is rushing it. You took the card and immediately asked about your family. They're all set. Your parents liked a storefront and plan to open a diner. I've also contacted a school for your sister. I'll take her to enroll tomorrow. Are you settling in at school? You nodded and said nothing more. After a few reminders, Mr. Parker left. Does your card have money on it? Need to top it up? Nate asked curiously. No. Mr. Parker said the school already loaded 1,500. Nate went speechless. Of course, the genius the school paid big for wouldn't be shortchanged. Then you're buying us dinner today. Nate teased. Okay. You did not refuse. They had treated you before, so returning the favor was fair. Spending a little for peace and quiet was a good deal to you. That night, they took you out for hot pot skewers. The bill came to 117. That meant little to them, but they knew it was not small for you. So they made excuses and bought you a pile of daily supplies and snacks. The three of you had a peaceful night until early the next morning. The big microelectronics group chat blew up first thing in the morning. Have you seen the errata page on Semiconductor's site? The latest issue already has an erratum. That's insanely fast. Some big shot must have flagged it with detailed proof. That's why the editors reacted so fast. Which paper got corrected? Dr. Grant's microchip power supply circuit design based on photovoltaic cell modules. A full 5 errors were corrected. Who's the big shot credited? Hayes. Nobody knows who that is. The whole major was curious who this mystery expert was. The semiconductor world here is only so big. Everyone knew the famous scholars, but this Hayes left no trace online no matter how hard they searched. Meanwhile, Dr. Grant was in his office with a thermos, holding court. He bragged about how many papers he had published this semester. He said outright that he had met the requirements for associate professor. The teachers around him looked envious, and Dr. Grant felt smug. He was already planning to make associate professor, then master's advisor, even using you as a workhorse. With you, he could crank out more papers and make full professor sooner. Just then, his phone rang. After he took the call, his smile froze. He forced himself to stay calm and said a few words. Then he used washing his cup as an excuse, went to the garden, checked no one was around, and called someone. His voice was low but furious. Didn't you say the data was fine? Now the journal editor has called, and my first 5 papers are flagged for editorial review. The journal editor just called. My first 5 papers are all flagged for editorial review. So what now? I paid you. You fix this or you don't get the final payment. After hanging up, Dr. Grant looked around in a panic and hurried off. In boys' dorm room 606, Julian had just woken up. When he saw you already dressed, sitting at your desk reading, he got a headache. What kind of schedule do you even keep? How are you always up earlier than everyone else to study? No class today. Why not sleep in? Julian tried to drag you into slacking off. But you did not even look up. Your eyes stayed on the book. Nate was woken too. He glanced at you in a daze, then lay back down. Are we total slackers? At least we didn't game last night. The two had wanted to game, but your gaming wastes time. Study instead killed their mood. To you, controlling game characters was worth far less than studying. Did you eat breakfast? Only then did you look up. Not yet. I'll just eat some snacks you bought. Snacks are for the afternoon. They can't be a meal. I'll ask the group chat to bring breakfast. Julian picked up his phone, then froze at the 99+ messages in the group chat. Nate leaned in too. Seeing the news about Dr. Grant's paper being corrected, he shot upright. Julian, did you see this? Yeah. I saw it. Julian was wide awake now. The two exchanged a look, then turned to you at the desk. Could this Hayes be? Nate's voice trembled. Julian's heart sank. You emailed last night, and today the journal posted an erratum. Hayes was clearly based on your name. He walked up to you and asked gravely, when you emailed those errors yesterday, did you send it to Dr. Grant? You looked up, confused. No, I sent it straight to the editors at Semiconductor. What? Julian and Nate cried out in unison. You said if I sent it to Dr. Grant, he probably wouldn't correct it. If people cite the wrong ideas in their papers, then what? Julian instantly regretted it. He had only meant to talk you out of pushing it. Instead, he had reminded you. If Dr. Grant wouldn't fix it, find someone who could make him. Now you had offended Dr. Grant for good. Why didn't you listen? If Dr. Grant finds out, he'll come after you. Julian jumped out of bed and pulled Nate aside to plan. What do we do? Either we pretend we don't know who Hayes is, but with his personality, he'll never lie, or I call my dad. He knows the school leadership and plans to donate to the school. He can definitely protect him. Julian valued talent and did not want a professor targeting you. Then that's our only move. You looked confused. I pointed out his errors. Why would he target me? Julian gave a bitter smile. You don't know social politics. School is a little society. Relationships affect grades and your future. If you can let it slide, let it slide. I came here to study, not manage relationships. If we can't even point out a teacher's mistakes, are we supposed to let wrong knowledge be taught? Just then, Nate's face changed as he checked his phone. The chat says Dr. Grant is looking for you. He wants you in his office. He found out that fast? Julian panicked too and was about to call his father. Don't call yet. We'll go with him and see. If it goes bad, then call. Nate stopped him. The two walked you to the office, repeatedly telling you to talk less once inside, and whatever you did, not talk back. You thought it did not matter, but seeing their serious faces, you nodded. At the office, you went in alone. Dr. Grant shut the door behind you. Julian and Nate had no choice but to press against the door and eavesdrop. Did you send that email to Semiconductor pointing out errors in my paper? Dr. Grant's voice held suppressed anger. You answered calmly. Yes. Your paper has 5 errors. Do you need me to explain them in detail? Outside, the two looked at each other and nearly coughed blood. The man was here to chew you out. And you still wanted to tutor him? Who do you think you were talking to me like that? Dr. Grant was furious and pulled rank as a teacher. Dr. Grant, I'm a student. Isn't that obvious? You frowned inwardly, even feeling he was a bit slow. No wonder his paper had so many errors. You were starting to lose interest in talking to him. If you're a student, why didn't you come to me first when you found a problem? Why contact the journal editor directly? If I asked you, would you correct it? Your voice was calm and flat. Outside, Nate whispered, Dr. Grant is going to lose it. Should we call your dad now? Julian had just pulled out his phone, when a voice behind them suddenly stopped them. Is Dr. Grant inside? Professor Morgan. Julian turned and saw the department chair, Chloe Morgan. Beside her stood 2 college administrators, 1 man and 1 woman. Julian and Nate instantly stood straight and looked at Professor Morgan obediently. Caught eavesdropping by the department chair, they both panicked. They had no idea how to explain. Professor Morgan, don't misunderstand. We were just passing by and heard arguing inside. So we paid a little attention. Nate forced out an excuse, trying to smooth things over. Chloe Morgan gave him a flat look, ignored him, and turned to the office door. She asked firmly, is Dr. Grant inside? Julian and Nate quickly nodded. Nate even stepped forward eagerly. Professor Morgan, want me to knock for you? Chloe answered lightly. With permission, Nate knocked at once. Footsteps soon came from inside. Dr. Grant opened the door, saw Nate, and frowned, ready to snap. Then he spotted Chloe and the 2 others outside, and his face changed. Director Walsh, Associate Dean Harris, Chair Morgan. What brings you here? Chloe looked straight at him, calm but full of authority. We'd like to talk about your paper. Is now a good time? Of course. Please come in. Dr. Grant clearly had not expected college leaders to show up. He hurriedly ushered the 3 into his office. Only then did he remember you were there and quickly waved. You can go. He did not want Chloe and the others knowing about your argument, so he rushed you out. Chloe watched you leave without a word. Once the office door closed, she turned her sharp gaze on Dr. Grant. The air instantly grew heavy. Outside, Julian relaxed when you came out and could not help teasing Nate. Boss Wild, you were way too eager to help Professor Morgan. I was worried about you. I almost died back there. Nate rubbed his forehead, acting shaken. Let's get out of here. I skipped breakfast and I'm starving. Julian suggested. But Nate stared at the office door and muttered, we're not listening more? Getting caught once was embarrassing enough. 2 grown men eavesdropping? Stay if you want. Julian pulled you away. Seeing he was alone, Nate quickly caught up. On the way, Julian pressed you. What did Dr. Grant say in there? A rare look of disgust crossed your face. He's very confused. He kept asking why I emailed the Semiconductor editors directly, instead of going to him first. So I was right not to send it to him. Even if he saw it, he wouldn't understand the problems. Julian and Nate fell silent, understanding at once. You only wanted to fix the paper's errors. Dr. Grant only wanted to hide them. You 2 were not on the same wavelength. Dr. Grant probably never imagined he would meet someone this relentless and impossible to sway. You don't get it. Dr. Grant is just a lecturer trying to make associate professor. Promotions are tied directly to publication count. With your report, that flawed paper definitely won't count toward his review. Julian explained. Associate professor? At his level, how does he deserve that? Your dead serious question left them unsure whether to laugh or cry. You really did not pull punches. Nate suddenly froze, his face changing. Crap. Dr. Grant won't think I brought Professor Morgan here, will he? Julian's heart sank too, and he said gloomily, then we'd better pray he fails his promotion review. Otherwise, we're in for a rough time. Stop thinking about that. I'm so hungry I'm dizzy. If I don't eat soon, my blood sugar's crashing. Nate drooped his head weakly. Julian's stomach was empty too, so he suggested spicy dry hot pot at cafeteria 2. I'm not going. You 2 go. You refused, planning to research at the library. No, you skipped breakfast too. Skipping meals hurts your body. You have to eat something. Julian had grown up around pharmaceutical knowledge, so he cared a lot about health and insisted on taking you along. You paused. Since childhood, you had only focused on finishing the system's reading tasks. You had never noticed basic life habits, so you were confused. Seeing that, Julian and Nate realized. You seriously lacked independent living skills. Come on. Big bro's feeding you. Food is fuel. How can you study on an empty stomach? Nate pulled you toward the cafeteria. You wanted to refuse, but their nagging annoyed you, so you simply followed them. After getting food, the three of you sat down. Nate was starving. He quickly finished one bowl and went for a second. Only after he filled his stomach did you slowly finish your own meal. After eating, you headed straight to the library. On the way, you bought a hard drive at a campus district electronics shop. Then you went straight to the second-floor computer room. It was lunch break, so the library was nearly empty. The computer room was yours alone. Once seated, you ignored Julian and Nate when they arrived, and threw yourself into organizing the EDA tech. To you, EDA was not ordinary software. It was an industrial product in a software shell. It evolved with the chip supply chain, and the homegrown industry lacked a complete supply chain base. That was the core reason homegrown EDA lagged behind. EDA sits upstream in the chip supply chain. It runs through design, foundry, packaging, and testing. It must keep optimizing with data from downstream companies to build a real technical moat. After checking the state of the domestic chip industry, you had a plan. If you could deliver mature EDA software, it might push the downstream market in return and open a path for homegrown chips. The system's EDA tech was already burned into your mind. You immediately started circuit design and module coding and sank into the world of code. Meanwhile, Julian and Nate were bored stiff in the reading room. As Nate checked the class group chat, his face changed, and he quickly handed his phone to Julian. The group chat had blown up. Message after message accused Dr. Grant of buying papers. He was about to be fired. After the paper you reported had issues, Semiconductor's editors flagged Dr. Grant's past papers. After the college academic committee reviewed them, they found several were bought. When Chloe led the meeting with him, Dr. Grant panicked and gave himself away. Students in the chat were furious and demanded he be punished hard. After Julian read the messages, he looked at Nate in shock. He thought you had only corrected a paper, but you had hit Dr. Grant so hard he might lose his job. Buying papers is a major academic taboo. The school will go hard on him. Now no one can come after us. Nate was thrilled. Both of them were amazed by your hardcore move. When the class bell was about to ring, you saved the program to the hard drive and left the computer room. Julian rushed up at once and excitedly told you Dr. Grant was being fired. You only raised an eyebrow, calm as ever. He gets fired just because his paper had errors? Not errors. His papers were bought. Academic fraud means the school has to fire him. Julian explained. You gave a casual reply and lost interest. You only felt that someone who even faked papers was never fit to teach. Then you asked, is this Professor Morgan's class? Julian nodded, and a faint smile crossed your face. Your tone carried a bit of anticipation. I actually can't wait for Professor Morgan's class. Nate and Julian followed behind you, whispering. They guessed why you cared so much about Chloe. Before they finished, Chloe happened to walk over from a side path. Nate's words caught in his throat. He quickly switched to flattery and barely got through it. The two rushed to the classroom and found you already in the front row. Helpless, they braced themselves and sat beside you. Chloe Morgan's Integrated Circuit EDA Technology was known as a brutal microelectronics course, pulled from many fields and was extremely hard. Because Chloe taught so strictly, students called her the final boss. As soon as the bell rang, Chloe walked in with a stack of papers and got straight to it. Pop quiz today. The whole class groaned at once. Everyone was caught off guard by the sudden quiz. Julian and Nate went especially pale. They knew how hard this class was and had no confidence. Chloe looked at you, her tone softening. You only enrolled yesterday and haven't taken the course. You can sit this quiz out. She was trying to give you an out. After all, this test was highly comprehensive. With no background, you would not know where to start. But you looked up at her, dead serious. Professor, did you write the questions? After she said yes, you nodded at once. Then I'll take it. The whole class froze and looked at you with pity. They thought you had no idea what you were getting into. You clearly did not understand how hard this course was. Chloe stopped trying and handed out the papers. Sharp inhales filled the classroom. Everyone stared at the hard questions. Every face tightened. Even the class rep could not start. Chloe walked around the classroom. Watching students scratch their heads and stare blankly, she felt disappointed. This class's foundation was too weak. Just as her head started to ache, you raised your hand. Your voice was clear. Professor, I'm done. May I turn it in? The whole class went silent. Everyone looked at you in disbelief. They were sure you had filled it out randomly. Chloe quickly walked to your desk and examined your paper. Her eyes landed on the final FPGA problem. It was beyond the syllabus and extremely hard. Her eyes landed on the final FPGA problem. It was beyond the syllabus and extremely hard. She thought no one could solve it, but your paper was filled with answers. The code logic was tight, the steps were clear, and every answer was right. The more Chloe read, the more shocked she became. You know FPGA and IP cores? I taught myself. Your tone was flat. I checked the whole test twice. There should be no mistakes. Still puzzled, Chloe returned to the podium and graded your paper question by question. From multiple choice to long answers, everything was correct. Perfect score. She spent half an hour checking every hard problem and confirmed your answers were flawless. She was completely shaken. When the bell rang, Chloe collected all the papers and graded them fast. Then she stood at the podium and announced, "Only one student got a perfect score on this quiz, Ethan Hayes." The classroom erupted. Everyone looked at you with shock and respect. No one expected a new student to ace Chloe's brutal quiz. You were confused. This test was average. Why am I the only perfect score? Chloe looked at you seriously. No wonder you found the flaws in Dr. Grant's paper. You're the one who emailed Semiconductor, right? You nodded and admitted it, then confirmed that Dr. Grant had been fired. Chloe then warned the class to hold the academic line and never commit fraud. Only then did everyone realize you were the mystery whistleblower, and they looked at you with even more awe. Chloe then went over the hard questions, focusing on your solution. She offered a cleaner approach. She explained advanced uses of Vivado IP cores. You listened closely and kept nodding. The others were lost and could not follow either of you. They could only stare blankly at the board. After reviewing the test, Chloe assigned homework. Develop a simple IP core on your own within half a month. If you truly cannot finish, you may submit a design plan instead. Before leaving, she wanted to add you on WeChat for questions. But you said you had no WeChat or QQ. You only used calls and texts on an old phone and refused to replace it. Chloe had no choice but to leave her phone number and email. She told you to contact her anytime with questions. After Chloe left, Julian and Nate crowded around, praising you nonstop. They listed Chloe's achievements and marveled that this genius professor had recognized you. As they spoke, a soft question came from behind. Someone tapped your shoulder. "Hey, can you walk me through this problem?" Nate looked back and saw the class rep, Derek Shaw, with a few others. What he said was normal enough. He just wanted help with a hard problem. But the look on Derek's face felt off. It made Nate feel like he was ordering around a lackey. Nate was about to make an excuse and say you were busy, but you had already spoken. This problem is that simple. I'm not explaining it. You had things to do and did not want to waste time on something pointless. So you rejected him outright. You little brat, what's with that attitude? Are you calling me stupid? Derek's anger flared, and he stepped forward to grab your shirt. Derek, if you're asking for help, ask properly. Why are you grabbing him? Derek was tall and strong, but Nate was no slouch either. Seeing it, Nate grabbed his wrist at once. We're busy right now. Derek, how about I explain it when we get back? Julian smiled, calm as ever, as if he did not see the standoff. With Julian stepping in, Derek could not stay aggressive. He glanced at Nate and pulled back. After they left, Julian teased Nate, "Not bad. Boss wild moves pretty fast. Never seen a nimble fat guy?" Nate mocked himself, then turned to you. "But you were pretty direct just now." Once the third Mercer son stepped in, Derek did not dare push it. Julian did not know whether to laugh or cry, only because you nearly pissed Derek off in 3 lines. "He's the dumb one, not me." You looked perfectly calm. Only then did Julian explain. "Derek is the class rep, proud and petty. Professor Morgan has never praised him. But you showed up and pushed out Dr. Grant, and got the professor's approval. He couldn't accept it, so he wanted to take it out on you, the youngest. You were silent for a few seconds, then said, 'People say college students are naive. Looks true.' After a pause, you added, 'But you two are a little better.'" Julian and Nate exchanged a look, completely speechless. They knew you would not change, so they dropped it. "It's mealtime. Let's go to Cafeteria 3. The pasta and roasted chicken bites are good." Nate patted his belly and suggested, "I'm not going." Julian frowned slightly. "Why not again? Skipping meals hurts your body. I'm going to see my parents." You looked at him strangely. "And I remember what you said. I have photographic memory. I couldn't forget it if I tried." Photographic memory? Nate and Julian were stunned. Only then did they get why your mind worked so differently. You were basically born with cheat codes. Not fair. Why do you get it and I don't? Nate was hungry and losing it. "Stop yelling. It won't help." Julian sighed, then asked you, "Your parents are in Bayview too?" "They run a shop in the campus district." You kept it short. The two exchanged a look and said in unison, "We'll go with you." They were too curious what kind of parents could raise a genius like you. You did not object and brought them to your parents' new shop. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Linda saw you from the kitchen and quickly came out, wiping her hands. "Mom, class is over. These are my classmates." Seeing people beside you, Linda's eyes curved with joy. This was the first time you had brought classmates home. Hi, ma'am. We're his roommates and classmates. I'm Julian Mercer and he's Nate Wilder. Julian introduced them first. Hi, ma'am. Need any help? Nate was very polite too. Linda looked at the two well-mannered boys and was delighted. She said the shop had only been cleaned up for now. It would open tomorrow, serving spicy dishes from home. Right then, Nate's stomach growled. Linda immediately pulled you all to sit down. Then she went back into the kitchen and cooked with Frank Hayes to host you. You were focused on the IP Core algorithm and tuned out everything around you. Nate thought you were mad and whispered with Julian by the door. They had guessed that your family got this campus district shop only because you were exceptional. Before long, your sister Grace walked in and briefly greeted them. Soon, the food hit the table, and the spicy boiled pork smelled amazing. Nate and Julian ate with real gusto. Seeing Linda wanted to talk family matters with you, they excused themselves and went back to the dorm. Once they left, Linda pulled you aside and got down to business. The school's $500,000 award. Your dad and I haven't touched it. Now that you're in college, you decide how to use it. We have over $60,000 from streaming. That's enough for the household. She reached out and fondly stroked your head. You knew your family had come with you to Bayview, still had no home of their own, and your parents had always saved every penny. You kept all of that in your heart. Grace asked if you could tutor her every week, and you agreed at once. When you left, Linda pressed the bank card with the $500,000 into your hand. After getting the card, you did not plan to use it. To most people, $500,000 could go into funds or stocks. You knew chip stocks were about to rise, but you understood even better that the core tech in your hands was worth far more. Being the house beats being a retail investor. You wanted the fastest way to make money. You still had over $3,000 saved, so you planned to keep the $500,000 for emergencies. At 7 p.m., you did not return to the dorm. You went straight to the library. The homework Chloe gave was far too simple for you, like having the skill to build a skyscraper, but being asked to make bricks. You did not take the homework seriously and kept writing your own code. But the library's public computers could not support a full development environment. To develop EDA, a weak computer could never handle complex distributed simulation, placement, and routing. You immediately realized you needed a professional development space. Bayview Tech was a research university, and you soon found it had a supercomputing lab and training center. You took out your phone at once and texted Chloe. Professor Morgan, I'd like to apply to use the school's supercomputing system. Chloe thought it was spam at first. Then she read it and was both surprised and curious. Her assignment did not need a supercomputer at all, so your sudden request made her wonder if you were about to surprise her again. Chloe had long wanted to bring you into her project, starting with basic research. It would greatly help your growth. After a few seconds, she sent you her supercomputer account and password along with an invitation. You can use 300 free hours per month. That should be enough. Also, are you interested in joining my research project? The focus is general-purpose chips and core software. After reading the text, you had your answer. Chloe's research area was good, but it was still a single-track project. Could not transform the whole chip industry. What you wanted to build was a full EDA suite tied to the entire supply chain. Which mattered more was obvious. If you joined now, you would only be a gopher. You could join, but never for pointless work. For now, you would pass. Chloe read your reply, both amused and helpless. Countless students fought to join her project, yet you rejected her personal invite. She did not know the real reason. You had a far bigger goal. By then, Chloe and Apex Tech had already reached a preliminary EDA development partnership. At home, wafers and lithography tools were getting heavy attention. But EDA, the core basic tool, was underfunded. Mature software was controlled by foreign companies. Partner foundries were often choked by foreign EDA vendors over upgrade and licensing issues. Apex Tech sat downstream in the supply chain, always at risk of being squeezed. That was why building a full homegrown EDA suite had become urgent. Chloe planned to recruit 13 top microelectronics freshmen for the new project. The selection standard would be the recent IP Core assignment. Once the news broke, the whole major, over 200 students, erupted. Everyone wanted to seize this rare chance. But by then, you had already started real development at the Supercomputing Center. Chloe's earlier pointers gave you a deeper grasp of the system's tech. The EDA modules, from GUI and circuit modeling to layout design, simulation, and verification, were crystal clear in your mind, like an orderly puzzle. At 9:30, Julian called to ask when you'd be back. Only then did you check the time and return. As soon as you got back to the dorm, Nate excitedly told you that Chloe was recruiting freshmen for her project. He thought you would be thrilled, but you only said calmly, "I know. Professor Morgan told me." Nate froze. The professor told you herself? We only found out from the group notice. Julian was shocked too and quickly asked when you were joining. But you said calmly, I didn't say I was going. They were baffled. A professor personally invited you, and you still would not go? Nate touched your forehead, thinking you were delirious. You leaned back and explained with a blank face what I'm doing now is more valuable than joining the project. So not going is the right choice. Julian feared you might say that outside and upset Professor Morgan. So he explained it with the simplest example. It's like your mom cooking a whole table of food, and someone says it tastes bad. She'd feel hurt. You thought about it seriously, nodded, and said, got it. I won't say it in front of Professor Morgan. Nate seized the chance and leaned in. I don't understand any of the IP core stuff. Can you explain it to me? You checked the time. 9:45. Lights out was 10:30, and you needed 10 minutes to wash up. You had half an hour left. I only have half an hour. If you want to listen, now. They quickly brought over notebooks and a laptop, and you began. An IP core is a pre-designed and verified function block that can be integrated into different circuit systems. Nate used potatoes as an example, saying they fit everything. You found it absurd, but still accepted the analogy. Then you explained IP core architecture design, using a computer monitor as the example. After laying out the key points of finite state machines and real-time data acquisition, you took the laptop. Then you started coding right away. Seeing the screen fill with code, Julian and Nate instantly panicked and admitted their coding basics were awful. You didn't sugarcoat it. Weak basics are basically the same as not knowing. Embarrassed, they quickly said they'd study hard. You had no time to teach from scratch. So you marked the key parts in their programming book, then washed up and went to bed. Ashamed but fired up, Nate and Julian read all night by flashlight. They vowed to grind through coding. When you woke the next day, they were still asleep, slumped over their desks. You shook your head lightly and headed to the supercomputing center alone. After that, you kept the same rhythm. Each day, you spent half an hour tutoring them. The rest of the time, you were either in class or holed up at the supercomputing center developing EDA. The coding load for EDA was massive. Luckily, the system tech backed you up. You could keep pumping out code, but even then, finishing fast was hard. So you spent 5 points in the system store on a one-time talent, autocoding. Once you mapped out the framework, it generated the matching code in seconds. By the time the 3-day boost expired, 99% of the development was done. Then you ground through another half-month. At last, you completed the full EDA suite. After all tests passed, you packaged the code into an installer and saved it to the hard drive. Chloe would be back soon. How to safely get the hard drive into her hands became your next problem. If you submitted it with the homework, the hard drive could easily end up in someone else's hands. The only safe way was to hand it to Chloe herself. Chloe worked closely with Apex Tech. Whether the software went to Apex Tech or an official agency didn't matter to you. You just needed the most reliable channel to let this work show its real value. At noon the next day, Chloe returned to campus. After lunch, you texted her. You said you had something you'd built and wanted her to review it first. Chloe thought it was the class assignment and told you to submit it with everyone in class. But you insisted it was important and needed her to see it alone. Chloe knew how stubborn geniuses could be, so she agreed to meet you in her office. You left with the hard drive. Nate and Julian were rushing their homework and didn't ask much. At Chloe's private office, you walked in and handed her the red hard drive. My assignment is in there, Chloe asked, puzzled. A normal assignment wouldn't need a drive this big. You nodded. Chloe plugged it into her computer and found an installer named LVMX, which surprised her. Do you have a virtual machine on this computer? It has to be installed before it can run. Chloe did as told. After installation, a clean L icon appeared on the screen. The moment she clicked it, her face changed. Design compiler, simulation tools, power analysis, physical verification, timing analysis, packaging design. This was an entire EDA suite. She snapped her eyes to you. What is this? An EDA suite I developed myself. This is the finished product. Your tone stayed calm. All development work was done at the supercomputing center. The security footage can prove it. Even if anyone questioned the speed, you had plenty of ways to explain it. Chloe could not believe it. Impossible. EDA development isn't just hard to code. It also needs full downstream data support. Right now, we only have some low-end domestic EDA tools. How could you build a full suite? She even suspected you had only reskinned existing software or built an empty shell. Professor Morgan, you've used the major foreign EDA suites. Run one test and you'll know if it's a reskin or a shell. Chloe said nothing more. She pulled a flawed circuit diagram from her files to test it. The software instantly flagged the error and marked it in red, pinpointing the spot with fast, correct logic. She then tested simulation after simulation. The system ran smoothly without a hitch. The results were precise and complete, not an empty shell or knockoff reskin. Chloe was shaken to the core. She looked up at you, serious. Are you sure? You developed this entirely on your own? Yes. I can provide all the code. You showed no panic at all. Seeing how calm you were, Chloe could not hold back. She grabbed her phone on the spot and dialed Mr. Lawson at Apex Tech. Mr. Lawson, it's Chloe Morgan. Is your Lab 012 EDA team free right now? I have a game-changing discovery here.